Practice Test 3. The listening section has 42 questions. Follow along as you listen to the directions to the listening section. Directions. In this section of the test, you will hear talks and conversations. Each talk or conversation is followed by one question. Choose the best answer to each question and mark the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. You will hear each talk or conversation only one time. Here is an example. Listen to a conversation between two friends in the classroom.
Mr. Davidson gives us too much homework nearly every night.
I know what you mean. He forgets that we have assignments in other classes too.
What are the speakers talking about? Now read the answer choices. The correct answer is A, their homework in a class. Here is another example. Listen to a conversation between two friends at school.
I love how the new cafeteria looks. It's so big and has lots of tables.
You're right, and the food is so much better than what we used to get served.
What does the girl say about the new cafeteria? Now read the answer choices. The correct answer is D. It has better food. Go on to the next page, and the test will begin with question number 1. Number 1. Listen to a conversation between two friends.
Rick, did you see that Coach Young posted a list of all the players who made the basketball team?
No way, Alan. Did we make it?
We sure did. We're both on the varsity team and practice starts at 3:30 today. Isn't that awesome? Clark didn't make it, though. He's going to be on the junior varsity team.
That's too bad for him.
What are the students going to do in the afternoon? Number 2. Listen to a conversation between a student and a teacher.
Molly, you were late for class again this morning. That's the third time this week you've arrived at school after the bell.
Sorry, Ms. Mason. I come to school with my younger sister, and she has trouble getting up in the morning.
Well, I'd worry more about myself than her if I were you.
Why does the girl mention her younger sister? Number 3. Listen to a conversation between a student and a teacher.
Miss Daniels, is it too late for me to do an extra credit project for class?
No, I believe there's still enough time for you to do something. What are you thinking of doing?
I was hoping to write a report on one of Shakespeare's plays.
That sounds fine. Make sure I have it no later than next Monday at 3 o'clock.
What can be inferred about the boy? Number 4. Listen to a conversation between two friends.
Jason, you're left-handed, aren't you?
That's right. Why do you ask?
You've got a cast on your left hand, so I'm wondering how you're going to take notes.
I don't think I'll be able to.
In that case, why don't I give you copies of the notes I take in each class? That will keep you from falling too far behind.
What does the girl offer to do for the boy? Number 5. Listen to a conversation between a student and a teacher.
Do I really have to stay after school today, Mr. Robinson?
I'm afraid so, John. You were disrupting my class by speaking to other students and passing notes. So you are on detention both today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow? But I have plans tomorrow as soon as school ends.
You're going to have to change them, and I suggest that you change your behavior as well. What is the subject of the conversation? Number 6. Listen to a conversation between two friends.
I hope the school decides to let us buy our textbooks on e-readers next year.
So do I. Carrying around all these books is no fun at all. I nearly hurt my back the other day because my backpack was so heavy.
We'll be able to save money as well, since e-books are a lot cheaper than paper books.
What are the speakers mainly discussing? Number 7. Listen to a teacher making an announcement. Next Monday will be the first day of your class presentations. Since they should be 8 to 10 minutes long, we'll have enough time for 5 presentations each day. We have 22 students, which means that the presentations will last all week. I've made a list of the order in which you'll give your presentations. Let me read it for you now. What is the purpose of the announcement? Number 8. Listen to a school secretary making an announcement.
If you're ever late for school in the morning, you need to do the following. Do not go to your classroom. Instead, come to my office. You need to sign in at my desk. You also need to let me know why you're late. If you can bring a note from your parents, that would be great.
What should late students do when arriving at school? Number 9. Listen to a teacher making an announcement.
May I have your attention, please? This Thursday and Friday, the school cafeteria is going to be closed, so you will have lunch in your homerooms. You need to be sure to bring a lunch from home on those 2 days. Don't forget to bring a drink as well, since all of the school's vending machines are in the cafeteria.
What is the purpose of the announcement? Now you will hear longer talks or conversations. Each talk or conversation will be followed by 3 or more questions. Choose the best answer to each question and mark the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. You will hear each talk or conversation only one time. Questions 10 through 13. Listen to a conversation between two students.
I'm really glad that I decided to join the school band this year.
So am I. This is my 3rd year in the band, and I must say it's the best one of all. I think the fact that we have a new band director is great. Mr. Conaway is much better than Mr. Jesse ever was.
I can't comment on that since I never got a chance to meet Mr. Jesse, but it sounds like every band member who knew both of them agrees with you.
Trust me, Mr. Conaway is a huge improvement. He's a talented conductor, and he's also an excellent teacher. I feel that I've improved a lot as a flutist this past year.
Yeah, I think Mr. Conaway is definitely a good teacher. He has taught me a few things about the trumpet that I never knew, and I've been playing it for at least 6 years now.
That long, huh? Anyway, are you ready for the spring concert we're putting on next week?
I think so. I've learned most of the songs we're going to play. There are still a couple of pieces that are giving me problems, though.
I'm pretty much the same as you, but I'm getting more comfortable with the difficult pieces. I don't anticipate having any problems by the time we hold the concert.
I hope we don't have any. Everyone in my family is planning to be there, so I'd hate to put on a poor performance in front of them.
That would be bad, wouldn't it?
Well, we'd better get to band practice now. Hopefully we can work out our problems today.
You said it. Let's get going.
Now answer the questions. Number 10. Why does the girl mention Mr. Jesse? Number 11. What instrument does the girl play? Number 12. What is probably true about the boy? Number 13. What will the speakers probably do next? Questions 14 through 17. Listen to a conversation between a student and a coach. Matt, are you going to be trying out for the basketball team this year?
I'm not sure yet, Coach. My parents don't particularly want me to play ball this year, though.
What? You were one of the first players off the bench last year. You did a good job last year, and I'm counting on you to be a starter this season.
Thanks for saying that, Coach.
So you're going to try out then, right? We need as many quality players as possible if we want to have a winning season.
I'll tell my parents what you said, and then I'll try to convince them that they should let me play on the team.
That's good to hear.
Thanks.
If you don't mind my asking, why don't your parents want you to play? If I remember correctly, they both attended every game last year. A lot of parents don't support their children like that. Many don't even bother attending a single game.
Oh, they support me in everything I do. They're good like that.
Then what's the problem? I don't get it.
My grades in the first quarter weren't as good as they had expected them to be. I got a couple of low grades in math and science, so my parents want me to dedicate myself more to my studies. That's why they're not too keen on letting me join the team.
I see. Well, Matt, you study harder and get those grades up. Then I'm sure your parents will see fit to let you play on my team.
Yes, sir. I'll do my best.
Now answer the questions. Number 14. What are the speakers mainly discussing? Number 15. What does the coach imply about the boy? Number 16. What does the boy say about his parents? Number 17. Why does the boy mention math and science? Questions 18 through 22. Listen to a conversation between a student and a teacher.
Mr. Gibson, are you busy right now?
I'm just grading these history tests, Mindy.
Oh, so then should I come back to speak with you sometime later?
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean that. I was just... Sorry. I get spaced out sometimes when I'm grading papers. Please, come into my office and grab a seat.
Thanks, Mr. Gibson.
What do you want to talk about, Mindy?
It's the research paper we have to do.
What about it?
I've never written a long paper before. You told us that it has to be 20 pages long. And, we need to have a bibliography so that we can cite all of our sources. To be honest, I've never done any of this before, so I don't have a clue as to what I should be doing.
Ah, I see. Okay. For a research paper, you need to get your information from several different sources. I hope you use at least 5 sources, but I would prefer that you use more. These sources can be books, magazine articles, information from websites, and so on.
Okay, but what about the bibliography and footnotes?
Every time you use information from another source in your paper, you need to make a footnote. This provides information about the work from which you got your information. At the end of the paper, you should write a bibliography. Simply put, it's a list of the sources that you used to write your paper. If you look at that big handout I gave you yesterday, you'll see how to make both footnotes and a bibliography. So, does that help?
A lot. Thanks for clearing that up. If I have any more questions while I'm writing my paper, can I come back here and ask you?
Of course you can. That's what I'm here for, to help you learn. Now answer the questions. Number 18. What is the teacher explaining? Number 19. What does the teacher imply when he says this? I get spaced out sometimes when I'm grading papers. Number 20. What does the teacher say about the research paper? Number 21. According to the teacher, how can the girl learn to write a bibliography? Number 22. What is probably true about the teacher? Questions 23 through 26. Listen to a conversation between 2 students.
George, have you figured out your schedule for next semester yet?
There's not too much to think about, is there?
What do you mean by that?
I mean that we don't even have a choice for several of our classes. Let's see, we're required to take English. We have to take history too, and we have to enroll in PE as well.
Oh, yeah, I see your point. But what about math?
What about it? I'm taking geometry next year. That's what you're going to be taking as well, isn't it?
That's right. And I'm taking Spanish 3 next semester.
Not me, so I guess our schedules will be different there. I'm taking French 3 instead. I wish I had taken Spanish, but it's too late for me to change now.
Are you going to take biology or physics?
Definitely physics. I don't enjoy biology. Plus, I love math, and physics has a good deal of math in it.
That's the same reason I'm going to take physics as well.
So there really isn't that much for us to decide on, is there?
Wait, we have to take one more class. We can choose from art, music, computer science, and economics. I can't make up my mind between music and economics. I'm leaning toward economics, but I really enjoy taking classes with Ms. Jenkins, the music teacher.
She is a lot of fun, isn't she? But as for me, I'm going to sign up for the computer science class. That's what I'm hoping to major in when I go to college.
Now answer the questions. Number 23. What are the students mainly discussing? Number 24. What does the boy mention about Spanish? Number 25. What can be inferred about the boy? Number 26. What does the boy want to major in at college? Questions 27 through 30. Listen to a teacher talking in a physiology class.
Let's turn our attention to the human ear. The ear has two primary functions, hearing and balance. There are two ears. One is on each side of the head. The ear has three main parts. Take a look at the picture on page 58 in your textbooks. See it? The three main parts are the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The ear is also, as you can see, made up of skin, membranes, bones, nerves, and blood vessels. The part of the ear that is visible is called the pinna. Notice that it has two N's in the spelling. The pinna is a part of the outer ear. It helps collect sound waves as they move through the ear. This tube here is called the external auditory canal. It leads from the pinna to the tympanic membrane. Most people know it as the eardrum. Anyway, sound waves hit the tympanic membrane. This causes vibrations that are transferred to the middle ear. Take a look at the middle ear. There are three small bones here, here, and here. These bones help transfer the sound waves from the outer ear to the inner ear. That's pretty much the role of the middle ear. Simple, huh? As for the inner ear, there are three main parts, the cochlea, the vestibule, and three semicircular canals. The cochlea collects the sound waves that come from the middle ear. It's spiral-shaped, as you can see from the picture. Inside the cochlea are fluids that transfer sound waves to a nerve. This nerve is connected to the brain. The brain then interprets the sounds. The other two parts, the vestibule and the three semicircular canals, are used for balance. They're filled with fluids and help us maintain a sense of balance whenever we move.
Now answer the questions. Number 27. What is the teacher mainly discussing? Number 28. Why does the teacher mention the students' textbooks? Number 29. What is the pinna? Number 30. According to the teacher, which part of the ear helps people with their balance? Questions 31 through 34. Listen to a teacher talking in a biology class.
Marsupials are among the oddest of all the families of animals. They're mammals, such as opossums, kangaroos, wombats, koalas, and wallabies. As you might have guessed from the list I just gave you, The vast majority of marsupials live in Australia. Many others are found in South America. As for here in North America, well, the only marsupial native to this continent is the opossum.
How are marsupials different from other mammals? What makes them special?
The primary difference concerns how they give birth. Almost every female mammal has a placenta in her womb. The baby, or babies, develops and grows in the womb and gets nourishment from the placenta. A marsupial, however, doesn't have a placenta. Instead, a marsupial's womb is more like, an egg. A baby marsupial only lives in its mother's womb for a short time. In the womb is a substance that's sort of like an egg yolk. Well, once the baby is born, it crawls into its mother's pouch. That's another characteristic of marsupials. Every female marsupial has a pouch in the front of her body. This pocket-like area is where her nipples are. So, the baby crawls into the pouch, latches onto a nipple, and starts feeding on its mother's milk. Depending on the species, the baby will stay in the pouch for weeks or months until it's mature enough to survive on its own. Nowadays, as I mentioned, marsupials primarily live in Australia and South America. DNA testing has shown that they actually originated in South America. However, marsupial fossils have been found on every continent. Thus, they were once much more widespread. So here's a question. What happened that caused them to die out on the other continents? And here's another question. Why do they thrive in Australia? As for the answers to those two questions, no one is really sure, but many experts believe it has to do with how marsupials give birth. Marsupial females are only pregnant for a short time, and pregnant females are vulnerable in many ways. So, in the harsh, hot climate of Australia, it's possible that marsupial females were able to survive more easily than other female mammals.
Now answer the questions. Number 31. According to the teacher, where do most marsupials presently live? Number 32. Why does the teacher mention the opossum? Number 33. What does a marsupial female lack? Number 34. What does the teacher imply about marsupials? Questions 35 through 38. Listen to a teacher talking in a social studies class. In my opinion, the most beautiful part of the country is the Southwest. I'm referring specifically to the land in the states of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. If you ever get a chance to go there, you should. One reason that the region is so amazing is that there are a large number of different land features there. You all know about the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Canyons are quite impressive. But before we discuss them, I want to cover 3 other land features. They are buttes, mesas, and plateaus. Kathy, your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Wilkinson, I do. I thought that buttes, mesas, and plateaus are pretty much the same. They are, aren't they? All 3 of them are just raised areas of land.
Well, you're correct to some extent, Kathy. All 3 of them are similar, but they also have some distinct differences. Why don't I tell you about them right now? Basically, class, Kathy is right about one thing. Buttes, mesas, and plateaus are all land formations that are higher in elevation than their surrounding areas. They also have steep sides. Oh, and they all have relatively flat tops. Nevertheless, despite these similarities, they have differences as well. Let's start with buttes. Buttes are the smallest of the three features. They are also, in my opinion, the most spectacular. A butte is basically the remains of a mesa after most of the mesa has been eroded away. Buttes have extremely steep sides that can rise hundreds of feet above the ground. They usually have flat tops, but they can have pointed tops at times. That's due to the effects of erosion. As for mesas, they are larger than buttes and are not as steep or high as them. Furthermore, there's one major difference between mesas and buttes. Mesas have standing water on their tops. This is typically in the form of a lake or pond. Buttes, on the other hand, lack water. If you ask some people in the West, they will say that if you can graze cattle on the land, it's a mesa. If you can't do that, it's a butte. Now answer the questions. Number 35. What is the main topic of the talk? Number 36. What is probably true about the teacher? Number 37. According to the teacher, what is a characteristic of a butte? Number 38. What will the teacher probably do next? Questions 39 through 42. Listen to a teacher talking in a history class. Okay, so Napoleon's armies were still successful on the battlefield. However, the Allied coalition captured Paris in March 1814. At that time, Napoleon's generals gave up. They basically told him that they and their armies would not follow him anymore. So on April 11, 1814, Napoleon abdicated at Fontainebleau, France. When I say that he abdicated, I mean that he gave up his throne and all the power that went with it. The Allied forces decided to send Napoleon into exile. They chose to send him to the island of Elba, which is in the Mediterranean Sea. Napoleon went to Elba and remained there for 10 months. His wife and son didn't accompany him there. And while he was on the island, he heard rumors that there were plans to exile him to a place far from Europe. Given Napoleon's personality, there was no way that he was going to sit around and do nothing. On February 26, 1815, he escaped from Elba. This began the period in history known as the 100 Days. Napoleon returned to France, won some soldiers to his side, and marched on Paris. As he did so, more soldiers and citizens joined him. Soon the Allied forces realized that Napoleon had returned and was going to cause more trouble. They returned to the field of battle. While many Frenchmen had high hopes for Napoleon, he did not manage to remain in power. In June, Napoleon was defeated by the Duke of Wellington at the Battle of Waterloo. Once again, he was sent into exile. This time, he wasn't allowed to remain anywhere near Europe. He was instead sent to the island of St. Helena.
Where's that? I've never even heard of it.
Take a look at the map. It's way down here in the South Atlantic Ocean. It's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Napoleon was also treated more like a prisoner rather than an emperor. He was kept in a house and permitted few freedoms. A few people from France joined him in exile, but he was constantly guarded by both British soldiers and the British Navy to prevent him from escaping. Now answer the questions. Number 39. What is the teacher mainly talking about? Number 40. Where was Napoleon sent into exile the first time? Number 41. When did the 100 days begin? Number 42. Why does the teacher mention a map? Stop. This is the end of the listening section.